Chapter 1. An overview of television production. I believe that good television can make our world a better place. Christiana Monpour, CNN reporter. Any program, at any time, on any device, at any location. Frank Beecham, director and producer. Terms. DVE, digital video effect equipment, working with the switcher, is used to create special effects between video images. A DVE could also refer to the actual effect. DSLR, a still camera, digital single-lens reflex camera, that shoots video, allowing the photographer to see the image through the lens that will capture the image. Linear editing, the copying, or dubbing, of segments from the master recording, traditionally tape, to another recorder in sequential order. Nonlinear editing, the process in which the recorded video is transferred onto a computer. Then the footage can be arranged and rearranged, special effects and graphics can be added, and the audio can be adjusted using editing software. Prosumer equipment. Prosumer equipment, sometimes known as industrial equipment, is a little heavier duty and sometimes employs a few professional features, such as interchangeable lenses on a camera, but may still have many of the automatic features that are included on the consumer equipment. Second screen. Today's television audience is not just watching television, they are also on a computer of some type, often called the second screen. Smartphones. Smartphones have become the video camera of choice for amateurs. As the image quality has grown, smartphones have been adopted by news stations, documentary producers, and other professionals as a backup camera. Switcher, vision mixer used to switch between video inputs, cameras, graphics, video players, etc. To an overview of television production. The definition of television is changing. When you put video on any device, it becomes a television. It's because of the programming, it's the quality, it's the storyline. It's all those things we associate with television. Programming. Television was never the box, it was the programming that was on the box. Chris Pizarro, head of business development, Canoe Ventures and former vice president, digital news media, Turner Entertainment. What is television? The 2018 Emmy Awards were a perfect example of television's transition to the internet. Online Netflix, online, and HBO, on cable and online, each won 23 Emmys. NBC led the broadcast networks by winning 5 Emmy Awards. Defining television can be quite difficult. It used to be easy. Television directors and producers knew that their final program would be generally viewed on a 19-inch television set located in a home. As you know, that is no longer the case. Television's definition now also embraces technologies such as large-screen televisions, computers, the internet, tablets, and smartphones. These changes have brought many new players into the television industry. Online networks now create programming that is as high quality as what we have seen in the past on the broadcast networks and cable. With their lower cost overhead and monthly subscription income, they increasingly have the money and audience to pull in some of the best program creators. Today's viewing audience lives in a hyper-connected world. They do not distinguish between programming as being on television or online. They are looking for quality content that is Accessible wherever and whenever they want it. Bottom line. Television has to create the best possible experience for the greatest number of consumers in the widest viewing environment in the kitchen, bedroom, living room, on laptops, and mobile devices, as well as in the home theater. What a challenge! The second screen. Today's television audience is not just watching television, they are also on a computer or smartphone of some type, often called the second screen. One of Nielsen's studies shows that more than 85% of mobile and computer users 2. access the web while watching TV. However, only 24% were actually looking at content related to the TV program, while others used it to text family and friends. 56% visit social networks, 40%, and browse unrelated content, 37%. Those statistics are of great interest to television executives who are looking for ways to integrate social media with television programming. For example, in New Zealand, TVNZ has launched a youth channel that has created an interactive entertainment show that features chat and commentary driven by Facebook. Viewers can give their opinions using polling, write comments, and even include their profile photos, which are shown on the actual program. Robin Sloan, from Twitter's media partnership team, thinks there is definitely an appetite for more integration. People like to talk about the programming as it is happening, he said. At this stage, they TV executives are primarily using Twitter to engage their existing audience and give them something to talk about. Our goal is to get Twitter integrated into TV shows. It means that people think about Twitter as a source of really great content, and frankly it means that Twitter gets in front of a really big audience. Social TV is a modern version of the old days of gathering round the TV to watch a variety show on a Saturday night, said Reggie James, managing director of marketing agency Digital Clarity Television Production. Although the television medium has experienced transforming technical changes in the past decade, it is important to keep in mind that the key to great television is still storytelling. As equipment and means of transmission have evolved and become increasingly affordable and adaptable, production techniques have also evolved in order to take advantage of these new opportunities. Equipment has become simpler to use. You've probably already discovered how even inexpensive consumer camcorders or even smartphones can produce extremely detailed images under a wide range of conditions. Figure 1.1. Camera circuitry automatically adjusts and compensates to give you a good picture. A photographer needs to do little more than point the camera, follow the subject, and zoom in and out. To pick up audio, we can simply clip a small lavalier microphone onto a person's jacket, give him or her a handheld microphone, or just use the an overview of television production 3. Figure 1. In 2018 Steven Soderbergh shot the film Unsane using an iPhone 7 Plus. He said that selecting an iPhone to shoot the film was a legitimate creative choice for that style of film. Source: photo by Jim Owens. Microphone built into the camera. As for lighting, today's cameras are so sensitive that they work in daylight or whatever artificial light happens to be around. So where's the mystery? Why do we need to study television/video techniques? Today, anyone can get results. The illusion of reality. You must use the camera and microphone to produce what the brain perceives, not merely what the eye sees. Only then can you create the illusion of reality. Rune Arledge, former producer. ABC Television. One of the basic truths about photography, television, and film is that the camera always lies. On the face of it, it's reasonable to assume that if you simply point your camera and microphone at the scene, you will convey an accurate record of the action to your audience. But, if we are honest, the camera and microphone inherently transform reality. There can be considerable differences between what is actually happening, what your viewers are seeing, and what they think they are seeing. How the audience interprets space, dimension, atmosphere, time, and so on will depend on a number of factors, such as the camera's position, the lens selection, lighting, editing, the accompanying sound, and, of course, their own personal experience. We can use this gap between the actual and the apparent to our advantage. It allows us to deliberately select and arrange each shot to affect an audience in a specific way. It gives us the opportunity to devise different types of persuasive and economical production techniques. If a scene looks real, the audience will invariably accept it as such. When watching a film, the audience will still respond by sitting on the edge of their seats to dramatic situations. Even though they know that the character hanging from the cliff is really safe and is accompanied by a nearby production crew, it does not override their suspended disbelief. Even if you put together a disjointed series of totally unrelated shots, your audience will still attempt to rationalize and interpret what they are seeing. Music videos and experimental films rely heavily on this fact to sustain interest. If you use a camera casually, the images will still unpredictably influence your audience. Generally speaking, careless or inappropriate production techniques will usually confuse, puzzle, and bore your audience. The show will lack a logical and consistent form. Systematic techniques are a must if you want to catch and hold audience attention and interest. It's all about how you do it. At first thought, learning about television production would seem to be just a matter of mastering the equipment. But let's think for a moment. How often have you heard two people play the same piece of music yet achieve entirely different results? The first instrumentalist may hit all the right notes, but the performance may sound dull and uninteresting. The second musician's more sensitive approach stirs our emotions with memorable sound. Of course, we could simply assume that the second musician had greater talent. But this talent generally comes from painstaking study and effective techniques. Experience alone is not enough, especially if it perpetuates incorrect methods. Even quite subtle differences can influence the quality and impact of a performance. You'll find parallel situations in television production practices. Techniques will tell. It's common for three directors to shoot the same action, and yet produce quite diverse results. In a shooting by numbers approach, the first director may show us everything that's going on, but follow a dull routine, the same old wide shot to begin with, followed by close-up shots of whoever is speaking, with intercut Reaction shots of the listeners. 3. 4. An overview of television production. The second director may worry so much about getting unusual shots that he or she actually ends up distracting us from the subject itself. The third director's smooth sequence of shots somehow manages to create an interesting, attention-grabbing story. The audience feels involved in what is going on. Clearly, it's not simply a matter of pointing the camera and staying in focus. Similarly, two different people can light the same setting. The first person illuminates the scene clearly enough, but the second somehow manages to build a persuasive atmospheric effect that enhances the show's appeal. These are the kinds of subtleties you will learn about as we explore techniques. Having the edge. Working conditions have changed considerably over the years. Earlier equipment often required the user to have deep technical understanding to operate it effectively and keep it working. Some of the jobs on the production crew, such as camera, audio, lighting, video recording operation, and editing, were all handled by engineers who specialized in that specific area. In today's highly competitive industry, in which equipment is increasingly reliable and operation is simplified, there is a growing use of multitasking. Individuals need to acquire a variety of skills, rather than specialize in one specific skill or craft. Also, instead of permanent in-house production crews, the trend is to use freelance personnel on short-term contracts for maximum economy and flexibility. Today, companies often send a single person out on location with a lightweight camera to record the images and sound, use a laptop computer system to edit the results, and return with a complete program ready to put on the air. Figure 1.2. The person with greater know-how and adaptability has an edge. Job opportunities vary considerably. The person who specializes in a single craft can develop specific aptitudes in that field. However, the person who can operate a camera today, light a set tomorrow, and subsequently handle the sound has more opportunities in today's market. Although a single person can accomplish many roles, television still relies on teamwork. Results depend not only on each person knowing his or her own job, but also on his or her understanding of what others are trying to accomplish. Studying this book will give you a number of major advantages. By taking the trouble to understand the fundamentals of the equipment that you are using, you'll be able to rapidly assimilate and adapt when new gear comes along. After that, it's just a matter of discovering any operational differences and different features. It will help you to anticipate problems and avoid problems before they happen. When unexpected difficulties arise, as they inevitably will at some point, you will recognize them and quickly compensate. For example, when the talent has a weak voice, you may be able to tighten the shot a little to allow the sound boom to come a little closer without getting into the shot. Overview. Before we begin our journey, let's take an overview of the terrain we will be covering. This will help to familiarize you with the areas that you are going to have to deal with and give a general idea of how they interrelate. Organization. Although organizational basics follow a recognizable pattern for all types of television production, the actual format the director uses will always be influenced by these factors. Figure 1. 2. This editor for Sports Illustrated is cutting a video Together in the press room at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on her laptop. 4. Whether the production is taking place in a studio or on location. Whether it is to be transmitted live or recorded for transmission later. Whether the action can be repeated, to correct errors, adjust shots, or is a one-time opportunity that has to be captured the first time around. Any restrictions due to limitations in time, equipment, and space. Whether there is a live audience. An overview of television production. 5. In some situations, a multi-camera setup is the best solution for shooting an event. This is when the cameras are controlled by a production team in a control room. At other times, the director may choose to stand beside a single camera, guiding each shot from a nearby video monitor. Figure 1.3. History of television. 1923, Russian immigrant Vladimir Kozma-Zworykin patents the iconoscope, the first television transmission tube. He patents the first color tube in 1925. 1926, John Logie Baird, credited with inventing mechanical television, is the first to transmit a television image using a mechanical television. 1927, Philo T. Farnsworth transmits the first electronic television image. 1928, the first television is sold at Devon for $75. June 2, 1931, the earliest true broadcast, available to the public, of an outdoor sporting event is the BBC's coverage of the Derby horse race at Epsom in Great Britain. The production's mechanical television equipment utilizes one camera. 1936, the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, debuts the world's first television service with 3 hours of programming a day. 1939, first Major League Baseball and football, American style. College and NFL games are telecast. 1949, first television show broadcast in color was Kukla, Fran and Ollie. 1952, first videotape used. 1955, the Helivision anti-vibration helicopter camera mount is invented by French director/cinematographer Albert Lamouris. April 1960, Ampex introduces the InterSync accessory, which makes it possible to cut to or from videotape without rolls or discontinuity and to do dissolves and some special effects. 1962, the first transatlantic television transmission occurs via the Telestar satellite, making worldwide television and cable networks a reality. December 7, 1963, CBS airs the first instant replay during a football game in Philadelphia. April 1967, Ampex introduces the first battery-powered portable high-band color tape recorder. Weighing 35 pounds, it can record for 20 minutes. The accompanying camera weighs 13 pounds. 1968, NHK in Japan begins work on high-definition television, HDTV. 1969, first handheld video camera is developed. 1969, first exhibition of HDTV, Japan. June 3, 1989, Japan begins regular high-definition television transmissions by satellite. November 2003, MOBA TV becomes the first streaming television content service that delivers live television programming to mobile phones. January 1, 2010, Sky launches the world's first all 3D Channel, Sky 3D. 2010, NHK shoots the Tokyo Marathon in ultra-high definition, UHD, previously called Super High Vision, which includes 22.2 multi-channel sound. February 2012, first Super Bowl streamed becomes the largest social media event for TV in history. There are over 2 million unique users with 4.5 million live streams online, a milestone for Internet Live distribution of video. Over 5.4 million people post 12.2 million comments during the game. June 2013, world's first 4K OB vehicle, Telegenix T25 truck, uses 7 4K cameras to produce the Confederations Cup in Brazil. May 2014, first 4K UHD live streaming event is produced by French broadcaster TDF of the French Open 2014 Tennis Championship. December 2015, Sony and Samsung announced that they are producing smart TVs. These sets have integrated internet access within the television and are examples of the technological convergence between computers, television sets, and set-top boxes. November 2016, first IP-based, cloud, multi-camera production by Dutch View Infostrata. The show was Carlos TV Cafe. February 2017, first VR broadcast of a live event. Fox Sports and Beyond Sports gave viewers the ability to use a virtual cameraman to watch the match from different angles. Compiled with input from Ian Baird, Digital Sport. Earlytelevision.org, Ed Wrighton's Color Television History. Philo T. Farnsworth Archives, Lytle Hoover, Terra Media. Co.uk, Alexander B. Magown, David Sarnoff Library. Sportantechnology.com, tvhistory.tv, oldradio.com, Tom Genova, and the British Museum. 5. 6. An overview of television production. Figure 1. 3. Directors using a single camera often guide the shot by viewing the camera image on a monitor. Figure 1. 4. Cameras with large lenses are used as fixed or stationary cameras. Source, photo by Jim Owens. Planning and performance. Shooting the action. In order to create a smooth-flowing live television production, the director needs to understand the event, for example, what is going to happen next, where people are going to stand, what they are going to do, their moves, what they are going to say, and so on. Although there will be situations in which the director has no option but to extemporize and select shots spontaneously, quality results are more likely when action and camera treatment are planned in advance. In more complex productions, it is usually necessary for performers and crews to work following a production schedule, which is based on the script. This serves as a regulatory framework throughout the show. Action and dialogue are rehearsed to allow the production team to check their camera shots, lighting, set sound levels, rehearse cues, and so on. These rehearsals give the crew a chance to see what the director is going to do. They also allow the director to see what does or does not work. In a drama production, actors have usually memorized all their dialogue, learned their lines, and every word and move is rehearsed before the actual shoot begins. You can shoot action in several ways. as a continuous process recording everything that happens. Dividing the total action into a series of separately recorded sequences, scenes or acts. Analyzing each action sequence, putting them into a series of separately recorded shots with variations in viewpoints and / or subject sizes. Action may be repeated to facilitate later editing. Later, in chapters 9 and 10, we will look at the advantages and limitations of these various methods. Cameras. Today's cameras range from large network cameras with huge lenses to lightweight designs that are adaptable to field and studio use, figures 1.4 to 1.6. For documentaries and news gathering, even smaller handheld or worn units can play a valuable role. Video recording. For convenience and greater flexibility, most television programs are recorded. Historically, video was recorded on a tape. However, today the picture and sound are usually recorded on a hard drive, or flash memory, figure 1.7. 6. An overview of television production. 7. Worn on a head. Figure 1. 6 DSLRs, digital single lens reflex, shoot still photos and high quality video, all on the same camera. Source, photo by Andrew Wingard. Source, photo courtesy of Canon. Figure 1.5. Some small lightweight cameras are designed to be. In some situations, sound may be recorded on a separate audio recorder, too. The video recorder may be often integrated into the actual camera unit in a separate nearby portable unit, which is connected to the camera by cable. Housed in a central video recording area in a remote van or nearby room. In a multi-camera production, the separate outputs of the cameras are to be switched or blended together. This task is carried out with a production switcher, figure 1.8. The program is generally recorded on a central video recorder. Alternatively, each camera's output may be recorded separately on individual video recording decks, called an isolated camera or ISO camera, and their shots can be edited together during an editing session. Figure 1.7. Hard drives are increasingly used to record video images. Source, photo courtesy of Blackmagic Design. Additional image sources. Additional image sources such as graphics, animations, still shots, digital video effects, DVEs, and other picture sources may be inserted into the program during production or added to the final project recording during the post-production editing session. Program sound. Typically, a microphone is clipped to the speaker's clothing, handheld, or attached to a sound boom or other fitting. Music, sound effects, commentary, and the like can either be. Figure 1. 8 production switchers are used to switch between 2 or more live cameras during a project. 7. 8. An overview of television production. Figure 1. 9. A wireless microphone is placed on the talent and lights are used to boost the natural light. Figure 1.10. Set building requires skilled craftspeople. Figure 1.11. The wardrobe department at a major studio played into the program's soundtrack during the main taping session or added later during post-production. Figure 1.9. Lighting. Lighting can significantly contribute to the success of a presentation, whether it is augmenting the natural light or providing totally artificial illumination. Lighting techniques involve carefully blending the intensities and texture, hardness, or diffusion of the light with selectively arranged light, direction and coverage to bring out specific features of the subject and/or scene. Figure 1.9. Sets and scenic design. Scenic design, or providing appropriate surroundings for the action, creates a specific ambience for the program. The setting may include an existing location, sets that are built for the program, or virtual sets that can be used to simulate an environment. Figure 1.10. Editing. There are two forms of editing: makeup and costume, wardrobe. In larger productions, these areas are overseen by specialists. But in smaller productions, the responsibility for these areas may be given to someone else, such as a production assistant. Figure 1.11. 8. Live editing occurs during the actual performance. A technical director, or vision mixer, cuts or dissolves between video sources, multiple cameras, graphics, etc. using a production switcher, vision mixer, directly to air or to a recording medium. Post-production editing occurs after all of the program materials, video, audio, and graphics, have been compiled. The chosen shots or segments are then placed together in the appropriate order to create the final program. An overview of television production. 9. Two basic systems are used in post-production editing. In linear tape editing, specific segments from the original footage tape are selected and then copied from one tape deck to another tape deck to form a master tape. The content is placed on the master tape in a linear order. Significant changes to the edited master are difficult, as the program was assembled in a linear fashion on a tape. Linear systems usually require separate graphics and audio equipment. Linear editing equipment is rarely found today. Primarily used by small television stations who invested in a substantial amount of tape-based equipment. In nonlinear editing, portions of the original footage are usually transferred onto a hard drive. Nonlinear editing systems allow random access to the individual video and audio clips and allow an unlimited number of changes to the program, as the clips can be easily reconfigured and manipulated on the hard drive. The final master is then output to a recording medium. Nonlinear systems usually include graphics and audio processing software. Figure 1.12. Nonlinear equipment is by far the most popular type of editing equipment. Figure 1.12. Post-production audio, program sound. In addition to the natural sound from the action, productions may include music, sound effects, and narration received from a variety of sources. As with picture editing, the audio may be selected and mixed live during the actual production. Alternatively, the final soundtrack may be built during the post-production session. Distribution. The whole concept of television has changed. In the past, viewers were required to watch by appointment, a time that was designated by the networks or other gatekeepers. Today, viewers are able to watch almost any program they want, on any viewing device that may be nearby, at any time. Online DVRs and mobile phones have provided the technology to allow the audience to view what they want, when they want. Figure 1.13. Program creators also have the ability to distribute anything they create due to online channels and portals at no cost. A high school student can create a short film and get it seen by hundreds or thousands of people if it has a relevant subject and is created well. Unfortunately, even low-quality programs can go viral, seen by millions of people. Nonlinear editor. Source, photo by Austin Brooks. Figure 1.13 Mobile phones, tablets, and computers are changing the way the audience watches television. 9.10 An overview of television production. Every time a new medium comes along in the television marketplace, the feeling is that it is going to knock out the old and that we should be threatened by this new technology. Instead, as content providers, we see great opportunity from this for ourselves and also for the advertisers that use our medium to communicate to their consumers. David Poltrack, President of CBS Vision. Audience impact. It's pretty obvious that to achieve quality and professional results, you need to be able to competently use the equipment. However, it's all too easy to develop the mechanical know-how and create cool digital effects while overlooking the most important issue, how best to communicate your message to your audience. Ideally, the techniques you choose should arise from the nature and purpose of the production. The camera techniques, lighting, audio, and set design should all be selected to help communicate your story to a specific audience. We will be exploring various ways in which techniques can influence your audience's response to what they are seeing. There is nothing mysterious about this idea. Program making is a persuasive craft, the same as marketing, advertising, and all other presentational fields. Learning how to control and adjust production techniques to achieve the kind of impact you need is one of the director's primary skills. Audiences don't usually give much thought to whether the program they are watching is actually film, television, or video, or a mixture of all these media. In fact, in today's multimedia world, it is becoming increasingly difficult to discern where one medium ends and another begins. The viewer is concerned only with the effectiveness of the material, whether it holds his or her attention, whether it is interesting, amusing, stimulating, gripping, intriguing, entertaining, and so on. The convergence of media has blurred the demarcations between the various communication media. The same programming can be found on a television station, television network, in a theater, online, available on DVD, or accessible through a mobile phone. If you don't take advantage of interactivity, you're not maximizing the opportunity. We're asking advertisers to create something more interesting than the 30-second spot. Rick Mandler, Disney/ABC. Television, video, or film. Whether you are involved with television, video, or film production, you will find that the program-making principles and the equipment used can be virtually identical. The terms have blurred over recent years. Television usually refers to professional programming that is distributed via land transmitters, cable, satellite, or online to a general audience. Video usually refers to productions that are created and distributed by individuals or corporations that are not meant for general consumption. Examples of videos could be home videos, employee training, or in-store marketing. Productions. These could be transmitted by a variety of means including online, DVD, or closed circuit. Traditionally, film meant that the project was being shot on celluloid. Since most films are shot on video due to the financial savings, film is generally the term employed when referring to a narrative or documentary. It is little wonder that people talk about filming or photographing with the video camera, Figure 1.14. Figure 1.14. A low-budget film shot using a video format. Source, photo by Naomi Friedman. 10. An overview of television production. 11. Television versus new media. There is always a question about what new media is. It is a term we hear frequently. When the European Broadcast Union recognized that it did not really have a definition, it worked with their members to define the term. The organization's basic question was, how can we distinguish television from the new media? The organization adopted two basic terms, linear service and nonlinear service. Television is considered a linear service, that is, the broadcasting of a program where the network or station decides when the program will be offered, no matter what distribution platform is used. Although there are many distribution platforms, satellite, broadband internet, and the mobile phone, if television uses the platform, it is a linear service. On the other hand, the nonlinear services equal the new media, which means making programs available for on-demand delivery. For instance, video on demand can use any platform. It is the demand that makes the difference. Most people's early experience of internet video was characterized by tiny standard definition windows. However, now that HD can be streamed and 4K is appearing on some websites, major content owners such as networks recognize that they will have to step up to this mark to win and retain internet viewers. The equipment is always changing. If you are uncomfortable with change, you may not want to work in television on the technical side. The technology keeps changing at an incredible pace. However, the good news is that the equipment also keeps increasing in quality and Figure 1.15. Consumer high-quality video camera. Source, photo courtesy of Canon. Affordability. The bad news is that the viewer's expectations rise with the improvements in equipment. Mastering the equipment will leave you free to concentrate on the creative aspects of the job. However, a word of warning. It is easy to want to try out the various bells and whistles available in new technology just because they are there. Inexperienced directors often get tempted to introduce variety, adding a wipe here or some other exciting new effect there. Camera operators may be tempted to use their equipment with a certain panache, an impressively rapid dolly move here, a fast zoom there. There's the temptation to dramatize the lighting treatment or add a little extra to the sound. However, keep in mind that appropriateness is the watchword. You don't want to create your program in a way that would distract the audience from the meaning and impact of the content. Today's equipment. Broadly speaking, the equipment used for television/video program making today tends to fall into the following three categories. However, even these lines are rapidly blurring. Consumer equipment. Consumer equipment is intended for hobbyists and/or family use. This equipment tends to make almost everything. Automatic, autofocus, exposure, etc. It usually has a lot of extra special effects, fades, masks, and it is usually very easy to use. The equipment is designed for occasional or light use. Of course, this equipment is the least expensive, Figure 1.15. Figure 1.16. Prosumer video camera. Source, photo courtesy of Canon. 11. 12. An overview of television production. Prosumer equipment. Prosumer equipment, sometimes known as industrial equipment, is a little heavier duty, and sometimes employs a few professional features, such as an interchangeable lens on a camera, but it may still have some of the automatic features that are included on the consumer equipment, which can also be manually adjusted. Because of its combination of portability and quality, this type of lower-cost equipment is often used by professionals. Prosumer equipment is generally medium-priced. Figure 1.16. Professional equipment. Professional equipment is usually designed for heavy-duty everyday use, usually has many more adjustable features than consumer/prosumer equipment, and includes the highest quality components, such as high-quality lenses, on a camera. Figure 1.17. Professional equipment must function at the highest standards, providing high definition and color fidelity under a variety of conditions, low picture noise, and no visible defects or distortions, artifacts. Be extremely stable and reliable. Be adjusted and maintained to stringent standards, and provide consistent results. For instance, an image recorded on one machine must reproduce identically on another machine using the same standards. Withstand some rough handling, such as vibration, bumps, and jolts, dust, heat, and rain, when used under very demanding conditions. It's funny to me that I'm pretty against auto settings. But I'm going to be working on a piece soon that's going to be 75% iPhone video. Videography seems to be going two ways, super fast and easy. Smartphones, and high-quality HD cinematography. 4K cameras and DSLRs. The audience seems fine with both depending on the situation. Being able to adapt is key right now. Nathan White, news photographer. The production team. In a well-coordinated production group, members continually interrelate. A good director will allow for the practical problems that a set designer has to face. The designer arranges a setting to help the lighting director achieve the most effective results. Similarly, the lighting director needs to rationalize treatment with the makeup artist. Of course, there are always individuals who concentrate on their own contribution to the exclusion of others. But when you work in a cooperative team in which each member appreciates the other person's aims and problems, difficulties are somehow minimized. The hidden factors of production. As you will discover, there are many hidden factors that directly affect how a television director works on a television production, such as the program's budget, the amount of time allocated for rehearsal and recording, the shooting location, the type of equipment obtainable, and its flexibility. The size and the experience of the production team. Support/backup facilities. All aspects of the production must be arranged and adjusted to suit these parameters. The daily routine. Figure 1.17. This professional 4K camera is used in both television and digital cinema productions. Source: photo courtesy of Canon. 12. In a surprisingly short time, many of the procedures and operations that mystified you not so long ago will quickly become second nature. Therein lies a trap for the unwary. It's all too easy to learn techniques by memory and go on to apply them as a comfortable routine in a busy schedule. It is a temptation, of course, to apply regular solutions that have been successful before, rather than to work out innovative and creative approaches. However, if your goal is programming that will interest and engage your audience, you cannot settle for the routine. An overview of television production. 13. Production issues. Keep the audience in mind. Program making is an absorbing, extremely satisfying process. But there are always limitations. Aspirations are one thing, but the achievable can be quite another. We all live with limitations such as, how much will it cost? Do we have enough time? What happens if we go over the scheduled time? Is the right crew available? Do we have the equipment needed? Are there any obstacles that could get in the way? Very few productions evolve without a hitch of some kind. There will always be things that just do not work, the last-minute interruption, the prop that breaks, equipment malfunctions, the missed cue, and so on. Particularly when things go wrong, it's very easy to become more preoccupied with the mechanics of the situation, for example, how much recording time remains, camera moves, or microphone shadows, rather than aesthetic issues or potential audience responses. These can get pushed into the background. It is not surprising that during the adrenaline rush of a live show, program makers can lose sight of the value and purpose of the end product their audience will see. The more fully you understand production principles and problems, the freer you are to think about the significance of what you are doing. One of the greatest difficulties that everyone working on any production will have is how to assess how the audience will respond. The viewer is seeing it for the first time, and usually the only time. The production team has become overly familiar with all its aspects. Every person on the team is concentrating on his or her own specific contribution, while the director is worried about the talent's performance. The set designer has noticed where some scenic flats do not fit properly. The lighting director is worried about a boom shadow. The audio person finds the air conditioning noise to be obtrusive behind quiet speech. The makeup artist is disturbed by a perspiring forehead. The costume designer has noticed wrinkles in a shirt. The producer is concerned with the costs of overrunning the scheduled time. It is not easy to assess from the audience's viewpoint. And when you have put all that effort into a project, it's hard to accept that your audience may be watching the show while working on their computer and be totally unaware of any of these problems. Interview with a professional, Vicky Collins. Briefly define your job. I produce news, long-form stories, and non-fiction programming for network news, magazine and documentary shows, nonprofits, Olympics and multi-event sports. And the web. I integrate social networking, blogging, and photography into my work to promote projects. What do you like about your job? I love the variety of assignments, the travel, and the opportunity to work on projects that make a difference. I also enjoy the opportunity to put together teams and collaborate on projects. Figure 1.18. What are the types of challenges that you face in your position? Mostly the feast or Vicki Collins, producer. Famine nature of freelancing. When you are deep into production, you don't have time for marketing, then when production ends you are looking for the next project again. Keeping work consistent is challenging. Also, budgets continue to tighten and clients often want more for less. Producers have to be resourceful and flexible to make money in this kind of economy. Skill sets need to be broadened to include shooting, editing, blogging, and social networking to stay relevant. How do you prepare for a production? I do lots of pitching and research. Some people come to me with their projects, network news, and I go to others with ideas that turn into productions, long-form storytelling. Continued. 13. 14. An overview of television production. Interview with a professional, Vicki Collins continued. What suggestions or advice do you have for someone interested in a position such as yours? Anyone can produce a YouTube video, but good storytelling and journalism are still essential. Producers need to be able to shoot and edit these days. Also, they need to be expert social networkers. The route people took when I started, going through smaller markets to the network, is no longer necessary or recommended. If you really want to do this, do this. Produce something important and put it on the web. Put yourself in the middle of the action and bring home a story that gets noticed. Vicki Collins is a freelance television producer who has worked for NBC News, created long-form storytelling for Hnitz World Report, and worked on multiple Olympics and sports events. Review questions. 1. How do you define television? 2. Why do we need to study television production? 3. What are the advantages and disadvantages to being able to multitask in television production? 4. Compare the two different types of editing, live and post-production. 14. 5. What are the primary differences among video, television, and film? 6. What are the differences between linear and nonlinear editing? 7. What are some of the hidden factors that must be thought through on a production? Chapter 2. The people who make it happen. The producer has the final word on all matters, but don't tell that to the talent, most think they do. Joseph Marr, Director. Terms. A1, the senior audio person on a production. A2, the audio assistant, who reports to the A1. See audio assistant within this chapter. Director, responsible for telling the story. EIC, engineer in charge responsible for maintaining and troubleshooting all equipment on a truck or in a specific studio. See studio engineer in this chapter. Field mixer, a portable audio mixer used by audio personnel to record a quality audio signal. This term could also refer to the person operating the field mixer. Freelance, independent contractors who provide services to multiple organizations, hiring out their skills on an as-needed basis. Per diem, the per diem is a stipend often paid to freelancers that covers any incidental costs such as laundry and meals. Recordist, person responsible for recording the program and possibly playing back video segments. TD, technical director responsible for operating the television production switcher. Sometimes also known as a vision mixer. Visual storytelling, the use of images to convey a compelling story. 16. The people who make it happen. One of the reasons that this chapter is near the beginning of the book is to underscore the importance of people in production. A good crew is far more important than the latest equipment. The crew will make or break the production. It really does not matter what equipment you have if you don't have knowledgeable people running it. A great crew can make a boring event exciting. A mediocre crew can make an exciting event boring. As you would expect, organizations differ greatly in how they describe each job. We will try to highlight the most popular descriptions of each job in this chapter. You will note that there are also overlaps between some of these positions. Each company decides how best to deal with those overlaps. The production crew. Television production crews greatly differ in size. There is not a perfect size for all crews. The right size for a project depends on the type of project that you are working on and the preferences of the director. At one end of the scale, there are directors who initiate the program idea, write the script, and even pre-design the settings. They cast and rehearse the performers, guide the production team, and, having recorded the show, control the post-production. Smaller crews have become more prevalent with the introduction of more portable and affordable equipment. This type of production crew is very popular with documentaries and lower budget productions. Figure 2.1. At the other end of the scale, there are big budget productions with large crews, in which the director relies heavily on the production team to provide him or her with quality sets, lighting, sound, and camera work. The director can then concentrate on directing talent and shot selection. Dramatic productions have traditionally used a larger crew. Figure 2.2. Another type of crew includes the director in a big picture role. This type of project includes a number of separate stories or segments that are independently prepared by members of the production staff. The director is then responsible for visualizing the production treatment that will coordinate the various components. This type of situation occurs in many magazine programs, newscasts, and current affairs programs. Obviously, in this type of production, members of the crew other than the director have significant impact on the various components of the program. There is a place for all levels of expertise in the wide spectrum of television production. Like other craftspeople, crew members become skilled in their specific field. Someone. 16. Small crews have become more prevalent with the introduction of more portable quality cameras. In the photo above, a mobile phone is used as the camera to transmit a live report back to the studio. Figure 2.1. Figure 2.2. Large productions may require an army of people. Figure 2. 3. A dramatic director gives guidance to an actor during a single camera production. The people who make it happen. 17. Figure 2.4. A common diagram of how a television production crew works. whose talent lies in drama production would probably lack the edge of seat intuition of a good sports director, and almost clairvoyant ability to anticipate action and to take spontaneous shot opportunities. On the other hand, someone specializing in sports might be lost in the world of drama, in which the director, with painstaking shot-by-shot planning, guides performance and develops dramatic impact. And when presenting a symphony orchestra, one needs skills that are far removed from those involved in shooting a documentary on location, figure 2.3. For smaller productions, the director may combine the functions of both director and producer. Having been allocated a working budget, the person in this dual role is responsible for the entire business and artistic arrangements. Origination, interpretation, casting, staging, and treatment. Subsequently directing the studio operations and post-production editing. Generally, the producer serves as the business head of a production and is thus responsible for organization, finance, and policy, serving as the artistic and business coordinator. The director is then free to concentrate on the program's interpretation, as well as the staging and direction of the subject being presented, figure 2.4. The common thread between all of these different production types is that the director is responsible for telling the story, whether it is a dramatic show or a sports production. Knowledge of visual storytelling is essential. Members of the production crew. Although, as mentioned before, crew members' job descriptions may vary from company to company, this section provides some of the most common descriptions. Please note that some responsibilities differ between various types of programming, different companies, and different countries. For example, the producer's role in a dramatic production is different from the producer's role in sports. Executive producer. The executive producer is responsible for the overall organization and administration of the production group. Example: a series of programs devoted to a specific field. He or she controls and coordinates the business management, including negotiating rights, program budget, and who gets hired, and sometimes may be involved in major creative decisions and/or concerned with wider issues such as funding, backing, and co-production arrangements. Producer. The producer is generally responsible for the management of a specific production. Usually, the producer is concerned with the choice of supervisory staff and crew, interdepartmental coordination, script acceptance, and production scheduling. The producer may select or initiate the program concepts and work with writers. He or she may assign the productions. 17. 18. The people who make it happen. The crew. Each studio facility is designed differently. The control room of the studio or the truck may be separate rooms or have everyone in one big room. Whatever the layout, everyone has his or her own area and everyone needs to be able to communicate clearly to everyone else. Communication may occur through the intercom or crew members may be close enough to each other that they can hear what is being said, figure 2.5. Figure 2.5. While control room layouts differ from facility to facility, this is a very common layout for the crew of a large production. Director, and is responsible for meeting deadlines, production planning, location projects, rehearsals, production treatment, and so on. Producers may also become involved in such specifics as craft or union problems, assessing post-production treatment, and the final program format. The producer reports to the executive producer, figure 2.6. Usually the director is responsible for the visualization of the script or event, and the producer stays out of the actual hands-on production. However, in sports and news, the producer generally gets more involved with working with the talent, determining replays, inserting pre-produced packages, the timing of the show, and guiding the general direction of the program during a live production. Figure 2.6. The producer, far left in black, is overseeing an interview. Source, photo by Jim Owens. 18. Assistant producer / associate producer. The assistant producer or associate producer, AP, is responsible for assisting the producer. His or her responsibilities, as assigned by the producer, may include coordinating appointments and production schedules, making the people who make it happen 19. Sure that contracts are completed, booking guests, creating packages, and supervising post-production. This person may be assigned some of the same responsibilities of an associate director. The AP reports to the producer director. Ultimately, the director is the individual responsible for creatively visualizing the script or event. Directors must be able to effectively communicate their vision to the crew. They also have to be able to be team builders, moving the crew toward that vision. This role involves advising, guiding, and coordinating the various members on the production team, set / location, lighting, sound, cameras, costume, and so on, and approving their anticipated treatment. The director may choose and hire performers / talent / actors, casting, envision and plan the camera treatment, shots and camera movements, and editing, and direct / rehearse the performers. During pre-rehearsals, figure 2.7. During studio rehearsals, the director guides and cues performance through the floor manager, and instructs the camera, sound crews, and technical director, vision mixer. He or she also evaluates the crew's contributions, sets, camera work, lighting, sound, makeup, costume, graphics, and the like. In some situations, the director may choose to operate the production switcher, example a local news show, and guide and coordinate post-production editing and audio sweetening. As mentioned before, the director's job can range in practice from being the sole individual creating and coordinating the production to a person directing a camera and sound crew with material organized by others. The director reports to the producer. Enthusiasm. Everyone will not have the same level of enthusiasm about the project as you. After all, it is your project. Although the crew and cast are hopefully getting something out of the project, it is your project. Keep in mind that they are not necessarily the owners of the project in the same sense as you are. So, to expect everyone to be as happy as you about the project is a bad thing. One day, the camera operator may show up mad because he got into a fight with his spouse. On another day, an actor will be anxious because of a childcare problem at home. There is probably someone on the crew who thinks He or she is better than you at your job. You never know what is going on in your crew's lives. You can't control any of this. It is not personal. A production environment can be a pressure cooker, and strong emotions, not all of them good, are bound to surface. You cannot make everyone happy. If you try, you'll fail and end up frustrating people. Focus on the work at hand. Make sure that there are no real complaints, things such as safety, harassment, food, etc., and make sure the real complaints get fixed as much as possible. Stay enthused. Sometimes that by itself will bring people around. Adapted from Arthur Vinci, producer and director. Assistant director / associate director. Figure 2. 7. The director is the individual responsible for creatively visualizing the script or event. The assistant director or associate director, AD, is responsible for assisting the director. Functions may include supervising pre-rehearsals, location organization, and similar events on the director's behalf. During rehearsal and the actual production, the AD is generally in the production control room and may be responsible for lining up shots, graphics, and pre-recorded video, so that they are ready for the director's cue. He or she may also be responsible for checking on special shots, such as chroma key, giving routine cues, recording inserts, and so on, while the director guides the actual performance and cameras. The AD also advises the director of upcoming cues and may assist in offline editing, timings and edit points. The AD may also check program timing and help the director with post-production. This person. 19. 20. The people who make it happen may be assigned some of the same responsibilities of an associate producer. The AD reports to the director, or sometimes to the producer, figure 2.8. Production assistant. The production assistant, PA, helps the director and / or producer with production needs. These may include supervising the production office, making copies, making coffee, and running errands, rehearsals, and location organization. Their responsibilities may also include logging pre-recorded video footage, taking notes during production meetings, and similar tasks during rehearsals and recording. This person may assist the producer / director with graphics or serve as a floor manager. Figure 2. 8. The assistant director, left in red, is helping the director with script cues for a dramatic production. Source: photo by Tyler Hoff. Producer's assistant. The producer's assistant usually works with the director. This role may be very close to a PA's responsibilities. He or she may also check performance against the script and continuity. The producer's assistant may be assigned to line up shots, prepare inserts, and so on, while the director guides the performance and camera crew. He or she may also ready the director, crew, and recorder / player regarding upcoming cues. The director may assign the producers. Figure 2. 9. The stage manager represents the director on the set or in the studio. She is shown giving the anchor the 3-minute signal from the director. The second photo shows the floor manager letting the talent know which camera is currently on air during an ESPN production. Source, photos by Josh Tabor and Jim Owens. 20. The People Who Make It Happen. 21. Assistant to note the duration/time code of each take and keep the director's notes regarding changes to be made and retakes. Floor manager/stage manager. The floor manager, FM/stage manager, SM, is the director's primary representative and contact on the studio floor, in the broadcast booth or on the field of play, figure 2.9. The FM may be used to cue performers and direct the floor crew. In the studio, the FM is responsible for general studio organization, safety, discipline, example noise control, and security. An assistant floor manager may be used to ensure that the talent is present. The FM reports to the producer or director. Figure 2. 10 Technical directors edit a live program by utilizing a production switcher and multiple cameras. Production manager/line producer. The production manager is responsible to the producer and director for maintaining the production within the allocated budget. He or she also may serve in administrative functions relative to the production. Technical director/vision mixer. The technical director, TD, generally sits next to the director in the control room and is responsible for operating the television production switcher, and perhaps for electronic effects. The TD may also serve as the crew chief. He or she reports to the director, figure 2.10. Makeup artist/makeup supervisor. The makeup artist designs, prepares, and applies makeup to the talent, aided by makeup assistants and hair stylists. The supervisor is generally responsible for multiple makeup artists. To ensure consistency, figure 2.11. Figure 2.11. A makeup artist prepares talent for a production. Source, photo by Sarah Seaton. Costume designer. The costume designer designs and selects performers' costumes, wardrobe. He or she may be assisted by dressers and wardrobe handlers, figure 2.12. Graphics designer/graphics artist. The graphics designer is responsible for the design and preparation of graphics for a series of shows or just one individual show, figure 2.13. Graphics operator. The graphics operator is the person who actually implements the graphics during the production. He or she is responsible for organizing and typing on-screen text and titles for a figure 2.12. A costume designer creates or chooses costumes for a production. 21. 22 The people who make it happen. Production, either doing so during the production or storing them for later use. Operators may also serve as designers/artists, figure 2.13. Lighting director. The lighting director is responsible for designing, arranging, and controlling all lighting treatment, both technically and artistically. This responsibility may include indoor and/or outdoor lighting situations. Video operator/shader/vision control. The video operator is responsible for controlling the picture quality by utilizing test equipment to adjust the video equipment. There are a variety of adjustments that can be made, including exposure, black level, and color balance. Operations are closely coordinated with the lighting director. Figure 2.14. Figure 2. 1-3 Graphics operators insert data into pre-designed graphics for a production and then make them available for the technical director. Source: photo by Jim Owens. Camera operator / camera person / photographer / cinematographer / videographer. The camera operators are responsible for setting up the cameras, unless they are already set up in a studio situation, and then operating the cameras to capture the video images, as requested by the director. On small productions, the videographer may have a lot of creative control over the image. In a multi-camera production, the director usually makes most of the final creative decisions about the shot. In a dramatic production, the camera videographer may be called a cinematographer, figure 2.15. Camera assistant. The camera assistant is responsible for assisting the camera operator in setting up the camera. He or she is also responsible for making sure that the camera operator is safe, keeping him or her from tripping over something or falling, keeping people from walking in front of the camera when it is on, keeping the camera cable from getting tangled, and guiding the camera operator during moving shots. A camera assistant may also push a camera dolly if needed, figure 2.16. Focus puller. The focus puller is responsible for adjusting the focus so that the camera operator can concentrate on composition. The focus puller uses a marked lens to establish focus. This position is rarely used except in dramatic shooting. Figure 2.17. 22. Figure 2. 1-4 video operators are responsible for matching the cameras and other input devices. The people who make it happen. 23. Figure 2.15. Camera operators are responsible for setting up the cameras, as well as operating them. Source: photos by Josh Tabor and Jim Owens. Figure 2. 1-6 camera assistants are responsible for keeping the camera operator safe and the cable untangled. They also may be required to push the camera dolly. Audio mixer / audio engineer / sound supervisor / senior audio technician. The audio mixer, A1, is responsible for the technical and artistic quality of the program's sound. This job includes determining the number and placement of the microphones required for the production. He or she also makes sure that the audio cables are properly plugged into the audio mixer, and is responsible for the final mix, audio levels, balance, and tonal quality of the final production. Audio personnel are also generally responsible for the intercom system used by the crew on a large multi-camera production, figure 2.18. Figure 2. 1-7 The person on the left is the focus puller. Having a focus puller allows the camera operator to concentrate on composition and focus. 23. 24 The people who make it happen. Figure 2. 1-8 The field audio mixer is using a small portable mixer to adjust the levels on the talent's mic during the remote shooting of a segment for Access Hollywood. The photo on the right is an audio mixer, or A1, mixing a live television production. Audio assistant. Set designer / scenic designer. Supervised by the A1, the audio assistant, A2, is responsible for positioning microphones, running audio cables, operating sound booms, troubleshooting audio problems, and operating field audio equipment, figure 2.19. The set designer is responsible for conceiving, designing, and organizing the entire scenic treatment. His or her responsibilities may even include designing the on-screen graphics. The set designer is generally responsible for supervising the set crew during setting, dressing, and striking. The set's set crew / stage crew / grip / floor crew. The set crew are responsible for the sets or scenery such as erecting, setting, or resetting scenery, props, and action cues, such as rocking a vehicle. In some organizations, they may initially set up and dress settings. Electricians. Electricians are responsible for rigging and setting lamps and electrical apparatuses, including electrical props. Technical manager / studio supervisor / remote supervisor / technical coordinator. FIGURE2. 19 Audio assistants, A2, are often assigned to handhold microphones around the field of play. 24. The technical manager coordinates and is responsible for all technical operations of the production. He or she may book the facilities, check technical feasibility, make sure that everything is working correctly, and ensure safety. The people who make it happen. 25. Studio engineer / maintenance engineer / engineer in charge. Engineers are responsible for maintaining and troubleshooting all camera and sound equipment in a production. Maintenance. Engineers usually are assigned to do regular maintenance on the equipment. The studio engineer is responsible for the studio, and an engineer in charge, EIC, is responsible for a production truck. Utility. Utilities assist the engineering staff by helping carry gear and cables, setting up equipment, and laying cables. Figure 2.20. Playback operator / record EIST / slow MO operator. FIGURE2. 20 Utilities assist the engineering staff by helping carry gear and cables, setting up equipment, and laying cables. The playback operator is responsible for recording the program and playing pre-produced packages or replays that will be inserted into the program. Although still occasionally referred to as the VTR or tape operator, the playback operator is probably recording and playing back programming from a memory card, hard disk, or hard drive. Figure 2.21. Writer. The writer is responsible for writing the script. Occasionally, the producer or director will write material. At times, writers are assisted by a researcher, who obtains data, information, and references for the production writer. Editor. The editor selects, compiles, and cuts video and audio to produce programs. He or she may assemble clips into segments and those segments into programs, or may just correct mistakes that occurred during the production process. Figure 2.22. FIGURE2. 21A playback operator is using a hard drive recorder to record and play back video. Talent. Talent is generally defined as people who are heard or appear on television. There are a number of different types of talent, including actors, anyone being interviewed, reporters, sportscasters, anchors, commentators, and so on. In the news field, it is not uncommon for a person to serve as a one-person television production crew, interviewing, shooting, and appearing as talent. Figure 2.23. Actors. Actors generally work from an established script. By playing a role, they create a character for the audience. Actors usually rehearse before the camera. Rehearsal, figure 2.24. Figure 2. 2. The editor is responsible for assembling the shot footage into a useful finished production. 25. 26. The people who make it happen. Figure 2. 2. Many television stations, due to tight budgets, have moved to one-person news crews. In the above photo, the reporter asks the questions and holds the microphone, but is also holding the camera. Figure 2. 5 People who appear on television as themselves are often called talent or performers. Figure 2.24. Actors play a role, creating a character for the audience. Figure 2. 6 Anchors usually provide a level of consistency on a show by being the person who opens the show, introduces others, and ends the show. Source, photo by John Greenhoe. Performers. Anchor. Performer is usually a term used to describe people who are appearing in front of the camera as themselves. This group could include interviewers, announcers, newscasters, anchor persons, hosts, and so on. Performers often address the audience directly through the camera using scripted, semi-scripted, or unscripted material. Sometimes the word performer refers to a person providing a specific act, such as a juggler, figure 2.25. The anchor generally sits at a desk or table of some type and provides the consistent talent that pulls the show together. Anchors generally open the show, introduce on-air talent such as reporters or other in-studio talent, and then end the show. Figure 2.26. 26. The people who make it happen. 27. Guests. Guests are invited personalities, specialists, or members of the public, usually people without experience in front of the camera. Guests could include interviewees, contestants, audience contributors, and so on. There are other people who may be involved in a production as well, depending on the size of the staff. These people may include security, prop manager, stunt personnel, catering, and others. The freelance crew. Many companies today have moved from a full-time professional production staff to utilizing a freelance crew. Freelancers are independent contractors who work for multiple organizations, hiring out their production skills on an as-needed basis. There are freelancers available who can fill every one of the production positions. Freelancers are generally paid on an hourly or day rate basis. If they are traveling far from their home base, freelancers usually get lodging and a per diem added to their contract. The per diem is a stipend that covers any incidental costs such as laundry and meals. What do you bring with you? Bringing the right supplies with you can make all the difference in the world on a shoot. Again, it depends where you are. It is always important to have something to write with and paper. Here are some of the other things that should be considered. Hat, sunblock, bug spray, sunglasses, snacks, multi-tool, figure 2.27. Simple first aid supplies. Small flashlight. What do you wear? What production crew members wear differs depending on your job, who will see you, if you are indoor or out, and the event. If you are in the studio, the public generally does not see the crew. The most common clothes are as casual as jeans. However, studios can often be cold, which means it is good to have a couple of layers so that clothing can be removed or added, depending on the temperature. Setup days are always casual. Some inside events, such as major awards ceremonies, may dictate that the crew seen by the public actually dress well in order to fit into the overall environment during the shooting. Outdoor work is much more unpredictable. In the morning, it may be sunny, and by afternoon it may be pouring rain and cold. That means that multiple layers and types of clothing should be carried. Depending on where you are, that may include a t-shirt and jeans if it is hot, a long-sleeved shirt and hat to protect you against the sun, and a warm jacket to protect you from the cold. Whatever the situation, it is always important to look professional. You will get more respect from others, which will help you get your job done. Figure 2.27. A variety of multi-tools are available. Source: photo by Jim Owens. 27.